10 days ago, most Pittsburgh Steelers fans couldn't tell you who Dylan Cook was. Now, he's the talk of the town after a great first start in Pittsburgh's 28-15 defeat of the Miami Dolphins. Cook came into the season as Pittsburgh's fourth-string left tackle. However, a combination of injuries and poor play has led to Cook getting his chance. He more than capitalized on that opportunity. After bouncing back and forth from the practice squad, Cook started his first game on Monday Night Football. On a frigid night where Pittsburgh's offense started slowly, Cook proved to be steady the entire game. He was a force in the run game and protected Aaron Rodgers exceptionally well. As the game wore on, the Steelers wore out Miami's defense, and Cook was a crucial part of that. Thrown into the fire. Dylan Cook's first NFL action came a week ago against the Ravens when backup tackle Andrus Peat went down. In 13 pass-protecting snaps last week, Cook didn't allow a sack, pressure, or hit, and that was primarily with him being left one-on-one. It's one thing not to allow any pressure for a half against one of the worst pass-rushing teams in football. It's another thing entirely to be tasked with doing that against Bradley Chubb for an entire game. And yet, Dylan Cook was asked to take on that challenge and met the moment in spades. He was left on an island against Miami's best pass rusher for almost the entire game, and it resulted in one of the best games a Steelers left tackle has played in years. Cook registered an astoundingly high 86.3 grade on PFF's initial grading system. On 30 pass-blocking snaps, he once again kept Aaron Rodgers clean, not allowing a sack, hit, or pressure all game. On a night where Pittsburgh's defense was shorthanded, the offense did its part in dominating time of possession. This is where Cook's impact on the run game was felt. He was fundamentally solid and wasn't blown back off the line of scrimmage. The Steelers wore the Dolphins down with 136 rushing yards, and Cook's piece of the puzzle was instrumental in their success. What lies ahead? Dylan Cook has an eventful next 2 weeks ahead of him as Pittsburgh's new starting left tackle. In Week 16, he faces the Detroit Lions. He likely won't be blocking Aiden Hutchinson for much of the game, but Alquan Muhammad has proven to be a good football player in his own right. He'll certainly be a challenge for Cook. However, in Week 17, Cook faces the biggest test for any offensive lineman in the league, and that's Myles Garrett. It is hard to imagine that Pittsburgh will leave Dylan Cook on an island too much against the NFL's best defensive player, who's also chasing history. Garrett is one sack away from the all-time sack record for a single season, and Cook will be part of the solution to stop him. Steelers fans have already gotten to know Dylan Cook over the last 2 weeks, but it'll be the next 2 weeks that tell them what he's made of. It's crunch time for the Detroit Lions, and they're coming up on a game on Sunday, December 21st, against the Pittsburgh Steelers that's really a must-win to get into the playoffs. Actually, the Lions have to win every game left in the regular season to make it into the postseason, so there are no throwaway games at the point. After the Lions lost to the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday, December 14th, Detroit head coach Dan Campbell said, "It is extremely difficult defensively to defend those guys if you cannot even corral or limit their run game." It started there. A number of things with the turtle motions and the inserts with the tight ends, they force your corners to be support on inside. Just a couple of tricky things. He added, "We had 9 plays for 6 yards. That was tough. There were a number of errors. We had some technique and fundamental things that we have to get cleaned up that you can't get away with against a team like that. That really got us." Detroit Lions make a Monterey St. Brown announcement. To perform well against the Steelers, the Lions will need to have all their starters ready and raring to go. One of them, a Monterey St. Brown, just made franchise history. On Tuesday, December 16th, the Detroit Lions took to social media to announce that St. Brown notched the most receiving yards by a Lion through 5 career seasons, surpassing Calvin Johnson. They also announced that St. Brown and Jameson Williams are the first wide receiver duo in franchise history to each produce more than 7 receiving touchdowns in consecutive seasons. So, St. Brown is making a slew of franchise history this week. Postseason status for the Detroit Lions. After the Lions lost to the Los Angeles Rams, Detroit, according to NFL research, have just a 41% probability of getting to the playoffs. As reported earlier, they have to win out the remainder of their season. So, there's no room for error, and they absolutely have to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, Minnesota Vikings, and Chicago Bears over the next 3 weeks. As for the rest of the NFC North, the Bears and Packers are pretty much shoo-ins to get to the postseason, and the Minnesota Vikings are out. Both the Steelers and Lions have 8-6 records going into the game, but the Steelers have a better chance of getting to the postseason at 61%, according to NFL research. Aaron Rodgers, of course, is the quarterback for the Steelers, and it would be pretty heartbreaking for the team's former rival, back in his Packers area, to know the Lions out of playoff contention. Campbell hasn't given up on the Lions' road to the playoffs. "We still have an opportunity, and we have to make the most of it," Campbell said after the loss to the Rams. "Now you have first-hand knowledge of what the top of the NFC looks like," Campbell added. "That's them. So now you know. You know what it looks like, you know what it is, and we're not there right now. Doesn't mean we can't be, but now we know what it looks like. We've got to get better." The Detroit Lions will have a chance to show their better side when they take on Rodgers and the Steelers. Joe Flaco could emerge as an option for the Steelers amid speculation surrounding the quarterback position. The Pittsburgh Steelers are speculating, albeit still only initially, as a possible destination for Joe Flaco in the NFL's next free agency period. The veteran quarterback's name has been circulating among analysts and league insiders, especially given the team's uncertainties at the most important defensive position. The Pittsburgh franchise is currently undergoing a period of transition and internal evaluation. Although they have recently invested in younger players, management is not ruling out adding experience to the roster. In this context, Flaco emerges as a short-term alternative, capable of offering security, game reading, and leadership in an environment known for valuing quarterbacks with a more traditional profile. The potential arrival of Joe Flaco to the Steelers also carries symbolic weight. A longtime historical rival, the quarterback built a good part of his career facing Pittsburgh, which would make the move even more intriguing. Internally, however, the evaluation would be strictly technical, a player accustomed to big games, constant pressure, and more conservative offensive systems. Even so, the fit raises questions. His age, physical limitations, and the need to adapt to the offensive scheme weigh against the gamble. Furthermore, the Steelers would need to balance the desire for immediate competitiveness with the development of their young quarterbacks. For now, everything remains in the realm of conjecture. But if the Steelers decide to prioritize experience and stability in the short term, Joe Flaco could become a name to be considered a pragmatic bet in a season that promises difficult decisions and little room for error.